Hetepu, Namaste, Haru Nefer, Assalamu Alaikum. This is Kasankma Keperu with another video for you. Now, today I'm going to talk about the movie The Black Panther, and that is the talk of the town, as the saying goes. They released the film during Black History Month, and it's been kicking butt. Marvel has proven time and time again that they're really good at making these films, and as I'm making this video, Black Panther has accumulated a box office total globally of $700 million. The only market that's left for it to open in is China, so they do expect Black Panther to join the billion-dollar club to make over $1 billion, which is awesome news for a film like this. And I'm not going to give you like an in-depth review of the film. I'll just say I saw it, I liked it a lot, I enjoyed it. The one thing that I really liked about it was it sparked conversation over the antagonist. The villain is in this movie is one of the best Marvel villains ever. I think it's on par with Heath Ledger's The Joker. So and his name is Killmonger. I didn't mention that. So basically, the idea is that T'Challa is the heir to the throne. He's the king, and Killmonger comes to challenge T'Challa for the throne. And this African tradition is similar to Klingon tradition. You know anything about Star Trek and Klingons, where might makes right. So T'Challa and Killmonger fight, and I'm going to give away spoilers. And basically, Killmonger wins. So his idea is this: Wakanda is this very advanced civilization due to vibranium. And vibranium is this metal that the Black Panther's uniform is made out of, and it helped Wakanda to become a very advanced nation in Africa. And it's cloaked. There's a cloaking technology where if you go there, you won't be able to see this advanced technology that they have with cities and everything, the underground cities. So anyway, let me get to the point here. So in the film, a civil war erupts, and there's those who are siding with T'Challa and those who are siding with Killmonger. Okay, so T'Challa's like Dr. Martin Luther King, and Killmonger is like Malcolm X. Killmonger wants to use the technology in Wakanda to start a global revolution to free people of color from oppression. That's his goal. So that sets things off in this battle, a really good battle in the end. But a couple of things I want to talk about. One of the things I didn't like about the film was the hidden message. Now, films like this, when they're produced through Hollywood, and they're films with Latino actors or predominantly Latino or Asian, which we don't see much of, but when Hollywood gets involved, there's always seems to be these subliminal messages they put into these films. And I want you guys to go take a look at the film Get Out by Jordan Peele, and the other one is Birth of a Nation by Nate Turner. I'm not Nate Turner, I'm sorry, Nate Parker, but it's the story of Nat Turner. So all those films have one thing in common. They're trying to communicate a message to the African American community. It's, to me, a very negative message. So in Black Panther, again, spoiler alert, Killmonger doesn't win. So this grand revolution, or this vision, and the great thing about his character is he's very passionate, and he has a good reason for what he does. The motivation behind him is something we all can identify with. Help those that have been disenfranchised, help those that are at the bottom of the totem pole, uplift them. And he never gets to do that, but T'Challa wins. And what does T'Challa do? Does he launch a revolution? No, he goes before the UN and just makes his passive speech. So in my mind, here we have Hollywood sending this message out to the African American community: don't uprise, don't cause a revolution, just stay in your place. Now, going to Jordan Peele's film, Get Out, the one thing that I didn't like about that film was they tried to give you this message about interracial relationships are awful, don't get involved in them, because the whole idea of that film was there was an interracial relationship in it, and the black male and the white girl, we discover some stuff about the white girl that paints her in a very evil light. So the idea is it's kind of placating to black women, because black women can be jealous when they see a black man dating a white woman, even though a lot of black women date white men, and there's nothing that is said about that. So this film kind of like, gives you that subliminal or subtextual message that white women are evil. Now, let me go to Nate Parker's Birth of a Nation. At the end of that film, and I compare Birth of a Nation to was Mel Gibson's Braveheart, and Braveheart was an excellent film. But in Birth of a Nation, the imagery that you're left with, all you see is these black people being lynched. So Nat Turner, if you read the story, he was, he rebelled. He was a slave, and he killed his slave master, and he started this rebellion. But at the end, you're seeing these images of all of these slaves lynched, which tells you, do not start a rebellion or a revolution. And this message is echoed in the Black Panther. So this is the concern I have, which Hollywood is notorious for sending out messages through their movies. One of the things that you need to look at that communicates this is the film They Live by John Carpenter. Because in that film, he really dives into the whole subliminal thing and how that has an influence on people and what's really going on in the world. And I love that film. Another film you need to see is Stanley Kubrick's A Clockwork Orange. That also talks about programming, you know. So what I want to say is this. It's unavoidable. Most of these Hollywood movies, though entertaining, do have an agenda to shape or engineer our reality and change the way we look at things. Because Hollywood knows if they can control our emotions or in our imagery, that we will manufacture that reality, we will create that reality, and that's what they want. They want to use us, because we're reality generating machines, to manufacture the reality that they want. So you have to start filtering out some things, you know, and be very careful. But the one thing that's good about the Black Panther is that it's really a combination of stories. It's, if you want to go back to ancient Kemet or Timeri, it is the story of Asar and Aset. And in that story, you know, Asar fought, well, actually he was killed by Set, and Haru was nursed to maturity, where he was able to take up his father's, Asar, cause and fight Set. And it wasn't until Haru went to Tahuti for wisdom and guidance was he able to then go back and defeat Set. So that story is contained within the Black Panther, and that story basically is a metaphor for different things going on in your spirit. And it's also been retold into the story of the Immaculate Conception with Mary and Jesus, the resurrection, because Asar gets resurrected too. So this is why the Black Panther, I think, is doing so well, because when you take these archetypes or these iconic figures and you retell the story using them, it becomes familiar, and we can identify with it more, and we can absorb it right away. Which is why George Lucas, when he did the original Star Wars, he was, I think he was using Joseph Campbell's The Hero's Journey and pulling archetypes from that, the hero, the wise man, you know, the rebel. So those are what Carl Jung called, the psychologist, the archetypes that are trapped in the collective unconsciousness, if you will, that was with us. You know, you have in that collective unconsciousness, or the collective consciousness, is the mother archetype, the father archetype. Those are there, you know, and they're constantly influencing how we behave and how we act. And we also have what Sigmund Freud called the ego, the id, and the ego. So the ego is basically, it's a culmination of things, but it's how we are, how we present ourselves to the world, and how we see ourselves in a way. You know what I mean? And I've always said that if you want to change your life or attract the things that you want, first deal with the ego. Deal with how you see yourself. And you can actually adopt a new archetype for yourself, because you do have an image of yourself that's in the back of your mind that is always present, and you're responding to that image of yourself. This is why we get people who have low self-esteem, or some people who think too highly of themselves. Some people think they're incompetent. Other people think they're overconfident, you know, so things like that. This is why in the African tradition, we practice either invoking energies of spirits or possession. Because when you possess a spirit or a certain type of faculty energy, you are replacing that image of yourself with something else that is more divine in nature and is infallible. All right, so going back to the Black Panther, great movie, loved it. Unfortunately, you know, Hollywood had to throw that message in there about don't rebel, you know. But the writing is excellent in the sense that, let me say it again, the best villains are the ones that you kind of empathize with. Too often we see villains as one-dimensional characters, and that's a left-brain thing, because there's always a motivation to something. And we know that Ma'at, goddess of truth, justice, and righteousness, tells us that what we want in life in dealing with those who are doing wrong is not revenge, is not punishment, but it's to bring back into balance. It's understanding the motivation of what we perceive to be our enemy, and then helping them to resolve the issues that are causing them to act in such a way or divert from the normal course in society. Killmonger has really good motivation. He was mistreated. He was left. T'Challa's father killed Killmonger's father, and which that whole situation was wrong, and left Killmonger as a little boy to fend for himself. We need to start looking in our world from a holistic perspective, a right-brain perspective. We need to stop labeling, defining things. We need to stop saying he's a drug addict, he's a low-life, you know, he can't stop stealing, he can't stop lying. These individuals who they are the way they are because society has failed them. Let's understand that very clearly. Society has failed them. And even in the Black Panther, T'Challa comes to the realization that Killmonger was created by them, that they failed Killmonger. This is why he's so angry and why he wants to launch just this revolution, you know? So let's keep that in mind. Also, on the final note, you know, the Black Panther contains so much rich information about the spiritual traditions that we used to follow, dealing with herbs, you know, dealing with nature, how we, you know, the kingship, and how we you know, live with one another, and how we saw the world. And I think that's beautiful. It didn't have oracles or divination in there, which I thought it should, because that is an African tradition. Now, you also important to keep in mind that out of the African tradition came the New Age movement, you know, the whole occult thing, Aleister Crowley, all that came out of African tradition, African priests, priestesses, or shaman and shaman, right? So keep all that in mind, and this is something that's really good that is happening because it's resurrecting a spiritual idea. And this is why so many people are gravitating toward it today, and why it's really doing well at the box office. And I hope that they spawn sequel after this, you know, another sequel, to keep it going and to really stay true to the idea of spirituality in the African tradition. Now, let me just say this one thing, and this is really important, okay? So we understand what's going on. Wakanda is the African nation that benefited off this meteor hitting that nation, and the meteor had vibranium, and they were able to take that vibranium and make it into an assortment of things which advanced their culture. And they have cloak technology, again, where you will not be able to see Wakanda if you were to travel there. But if you were to get past the cloak, you would see that it's a very futuristic city. They have these flying ships and everything. What I want you to understand this is that the ruling elite, whether you want to call them the Illuminati, the New World Order, or the Cabal, or whatever, these are individuals that live hidden away within our society, and they have very, very advanced technology. So I love the way they flipped the script, and they had this African nation with the advanced technology, but I think really it's a telltale sign of the truth of what's going on, which is that we have this segment of society that has existed for a long time, and it's operating on high technology, so much so that they can go off-world. And go back and watch John Carpenter's They Live. You'll see in that film how a certain segment of the population lives underground, with that high advanced technology, and they can travel through other planets, but the rest of society, the world, doesn't know about this, you know? And so there's kind of like two timelines. There's our timeline, you know, where we're struggling to send rockets to space and to Mars. And then there is their timeline where they have acquired advanced super knowledge from Africa, from Kemet, Timeri, or Egypt, and they have not shared this information with the global community, which is the same premise of the story in the Black Panther, where Killmonger is upset that Wakanda did not do anything to stop slavery or the oppression of black people globally, and he's rightfully upset. Wakanda sat by for decades and did nothing, you know, did nothing during slavery, did nothing during Jim Crow, did nothing during Reconstruction, did nothing during redlining, did nothing during mass incarceration and the CIA and the proliferation of drugs into the black community. So Killmonger is right to feel this way, and I sort of side with him and understand where he's coming from, which makes for darn good writing when you can write a character that complex and get people on his side. So, all right, that is all I have to say about the Black Panther. So if you like this video, hit the like button, share this video with friends and family. Let's get the revolution started. All my Killmonger friends out there. And also, have you done your spiritual reading? It's important that you have a spiritual reading that tells you what the year has in store for you, or what your destiny is, what pre-life agreement you made with Tahuti. So the reading will reveal that. So, and also, if you haven't got the Osiris report, you can sign up in the link below. Also, sign up in the link below for the spiritual reading. So, until my next broadcast, this is Kasank Ma'a Keparu, and Amin Ra.